Do you believe in fate, or do you think everything is written in advance, free will? What do you think?
Yeah. Welcome to Shoulda Books, the podcast about all the books you should have read by now. My name is Jonathan, and today I am joined by Merle Shane O'Neal. Merle is a YouTuber, filmmaker, and actor based in Los Angeles. She has the distinction of being the first guest to bring one of the three books that I think everyone should read, which you will find out very soon. She also has the distinction of being the last guest filmed in the beautiful dining room studio. That's right, the era of the beautiful dining room studio is over. So the next couple episodes are going to be filmed here on the road, and then Shoulda Books is moving to a new studio. So stay tuned for that. I guess that was my segue into housekeeping. Other housekeeping, we've got the Shoulda Book Club, as always. The Outsiders episode is outside right now. It's available right now. So thank you to everyone who has watched and listened to that. The Shoulda Book Club for April, the book is Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. I don't have a copy of it yet, but I will very soon. That is what we're reading this month, and I've heard that I should prepare myself emotionally for what is coming. So if you're not getting enough emotional devastation in just your regular life, why not join the book club this month? Yes, things are very scary in the world. I don't like what's happening. I don't support what is happening. I don't support the war. I don't support ICE. Fuck all of them. That's the official stance. I know I joke about the official stance of Shoulda Books, but that is an actual official stance of Shoulda Books. So I hope everyone is, the refrain from COVID came back into my mind: staying safe and sane, which sounds very lame and cringe, but I do mean it. It is dark times out there. But I hope that this podcast is a little ray of light. It certainly is for me, and I hope it is for you too. And without any further ado, let's get into what is hopefully this week's ray of light, my conversation with Merle Shane O'Neal. Let's hit the books. Welcome to Shoulda Books. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm having a good time.
We were just talking in the Patreon cold open, shout out Natural Plug, about existential dread.
Correct.
We got there, but that's kind of that's in the air these days.
Oh, it's everywhere.
It's hard not to feel existential dread.
I'm actively judging people that don't feel existential dread right now, and I'm also envious of them.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
a
Let's unpack
complicated
that.
blend.
Yeah. Okay. The envious in what way? Of just
envious of the seemingly this sounds judgmental. Is it ignorance, or have you evolved beyond a point of even, or are you just closing your eyes, putting the blinders on and pretending none of this is happening?
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's probably case by case.
Case by case. It's like, how much do you want to put yourself into what's going on?
Right.
There's a responsibility, I feel like, there.
Yeah.
Versus also, you should enjoy your life to the best of your ability.
Yeah. So, and you should enjoy what you're reading.
Yeah.
And I got you a book.
What?
That we'll open at the end. But this is going to sit here. And I actually remembered to do it this time. It's so funny. It's like a running joke where I will get through a whole episode and realize that I didn't introduce the book that I was going to give away. So it's here.
Oh, I'm so curious.
It's here. So you brought three books that you think everyone should read.
I didn't bring them.
Well, okay, metaphorically,
they're with us.
Spiritually, they're with us in the room right now.
Yes.
But what are you reading in general these days?
Right now, I am reading 4,000 Weeks, and I love it by Oliver. Last name begins with a B.
Okay, Oliver
B.
Oliver
Brunswick? I think it's wrong.
That
anyway,
fancy.
It's great.
I think I've heard of this. Is it like 4,000 weeks? It's like that's the average lifespan, basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Along with our existential dread talk, it's helping me.
Okay. How? In what way?
It's making me more comfortable with the bad things that happen. And also, I think by looking at how finite human life is, we can appreciate every day a little bit more. Instead of pretending we're not going to die, which we're actively trying to do in a capitalistic society and whatnot. Embrace it, because then you never know. Everything could be the last time you do it. And in a way, everything is the last time you're going to do it and the only time you're going to do it.
mortality is one of those things that I think about a lot.
Me too.
I think it does come with being in your 30s. But I was doing it before then too. But I think that, historically I was more in the ostrich, head in the sand, pretend that it's not happening. And, now I'm kind of trying to embrace it a little bit more. And it sounds like probably a book I should read.
I think you'd love it. It's also about like mindfulness and being present. Always helpful.
Yeah. What are some things that you do to stay mindful and present?
Well, I've started meditating.
Oh, okay.
10 minutes every day.
Jealous.
I write. Yeah, I'm bragging right now.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm bragging.
Yeah.
I write. I write a lot. I journal, which is one of my books has to do with
is this perhaps a something that has something to do? I'm actually, so you sent the books that I've seen the list, and 2 out of the 3 are ones that actually you gotta be careful saying that these days. I've seen a list. I've seen your list of books. Yeah, your list. And 2, I'm really excited to get into them because 2 out of 3 are books that mean a lot to me.
Oh, awesome.
So the third one, never heard of it. Yeah, I'm actually, we're just gonna cut that. But no, I am really excited to get into it, and let's just get into it.
Let's just get into it. Let's be crazy. Let's just get into it.
So obviously the first book then is
The Artist Way.
The Artist Way by Julia Cameron?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I was going to say Julia Child, that's not it.
The Artist Way.
Yeah. Wow, very good.
I work on my Julia.
Be an actor.
Hey, if you're watching, I'm available. This book, it meant a lot. Honestly, this actually hasn't happened on the show before, but this is a book that would be on my 3.
I think that means I win.
So I think, Merle, you're in the lead.
Let's go.
So you're off to a great start.
I'm so competitive. You have no idea how much that means to me. Something inside of me just ruptured of joy. That's cool.
Okay. So this book meant a lot to me. What did it mean to you? And tell me about, well, first of all, what is it for folks who don't know?
So The Artist Way is a book that's kind of about like unlocking and unleashing your creativity again. If you the belief of like by nurturing your inner creativity and your inner artist, your quality of life is going to go up. And it's simple. You do a couple simple practices that, at least for me, totally gave me the confidence to pursue creative endeavors that I'd kind of let slide to the wayside, I suppose. So yeah, I mean, one of the pillars of it is morning pages.
Yep.
As you know, you wake up.
Yep.
Ideally, you do it first thing. I usually do it after a walk.
Okay.
And you just write 3 pages stream of consciousness, and it can be anything. And that's what I like about it. You can't do it wrong.
You can't do it wrong. The only way to do it wrong is to not do it.
Yeah. You could literally write, "This is wrong. I did this wrong."
I think I did that some days.
And you have to some days. But that's also really important. It's like, oh, you need to unclog.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is like the artist dates.
Yes.
Which I think some people are like, those are the most important.
I like just talking about this, I'm like, oh man, I just remember like when I was regularly doing morning pages, regularly doing artist date, how good I felt.
Yeah.
Just the level of like presence that comes with that is so exciting. Like the artist dates is basically just like taking yourself to somewhere, something, some sort of either event, or even if it's just like going for a walk in the park, something like being intentional and going and doing something that like feeds your soul.
Right. By yourself.
Yeah, that's the important part.
Yeah.
This book really did change my life.
Me too. It feels hyperbolic to say that, right?
It does, like, and it's like I don't use those words lightly. Like it really did. Where and when, like, did you find this book, or did this book find you?
Oof, wow, what a great question. It had been whispered through like years of my life. People like, you hear like Artist Way.
Oh, sure.
People talk about it, Artist Way. Yeah. And then I was going through I was having a tough time. Like last summer, I was just going through turmoil. And I was like, I've heard so much about the Artist Way. I feel like I've stopped writing like I used to. Like, what is the worst thing that could happen? I was just feeling creatively uninspired. So I was like, you know what? Maybe this lady has something good to say because everyone's talking about her. So it just got me into the habit of waking up and actually reflecting on how I'm feeling. Instead of just waking up, getting up, doing the thing, going to get your coffee, moving through your day. It was like, how am I actually feeling? And I'd love to hear how you used your morning pages, because I started to get really fun, fast and loose with it. I was writing open letters to people that I was upset with.
Oh, wow.
I
okay.
like got it. I then would, I was like,
Did you send them?
no, nobody's supposed to read your morning pages. But
unless they're really good.
Unless
and you
they're
can like make money off of them.
Well, I started highlighting some of them because I was like, oh, sure, those kind of
Actually, that's kind of fire. I'm going to use that.
We're going to read your return. And the rule is like never look back. But you can eventually. But at first, I was like, no, but that was actually
okay,
good.
yeah.
So yeah, it actually helped me write my short film. That's
Wow,
how
okay.
I came up with 2 ideas through doing the morning pages.
That's fantastic.
But by accident, by not forcing
just like
it.
stumbling. I mean, that's the whole point. Like you said, it's about like getting kind of unclogged. Like I find that it is something like, at least for me, it was like, it removes all of the obstacles that we put in our way of like that keep us from making art.
Yes.
Most of which are involve money somehow.
Yeah.
Either money or the approval of others.
100%.
And it's like, if you can just remove those of just like, okay, no one's going to read this. No one's going to see this. And because no one's going to read this or see this, you're certainly not going to make money off of it.
Right.
So what do you want to do? What are you going to do that is just going to make you feel good and be good for your soul and isn't triangulating off of what you think other people are going to find interesting or profitable or marketable, you know? So for me, I did this book, God, it's been almost 10 years. I did this in 2018 and yeah, it was a rough time in my life. I'd gotten really burned out with LA. I was working in film production. I was a production assistant on most sets and assistant director on sets who didn't know better. They shouldn't have hired me. I wasn't very good. And I got just like really, really burned out and left LA. And and so I went back to my college town in Virginia. And my plan was, because I had reconnected with some buddies and they were like, oh, we've got a place for you to stay and the rent is $150 a month. And I was like, this is Virginia. This is, middle of nowhere, Virginia in 2018. And I was like, okay, sure. Perfect. And so I was like, I'm going to go and spend 3 months and I'm going to do the artist way because kind of like you, people had been talking about it. A friend of mine, shout out Davey. I actually ran into him in Los Feliz the other night.
Pop off, Davey.
Yeah, but anyway, so Davey was like, you really should read this book. You really should do it. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to spend 3 months, which is about, I think that's like the length of time
12 weeks,
that she says. And I'm just going to do that and I'm not going to work or whatever. Ended up being gone for a year, but I still did like those first like 3 months just really helped me kind of get over some of the hangups I had and just like helped me fall in love with like writing again, So yeah, when I saw that this was one of your books, I got really excited. So, so you did this last year, you said?
Yeah,
okay.
I did it last summer.
Okay.
And I think exactly what you say, like completely resonates for me, a lot of creative block just comes out of trying to edit myself while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And
what's that like?
It just falls out of me and I don't have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But just like the act of showing up is what it is. Like being creative is just showing up and setting aside the time. It will come.
Yeah.
It's when I think like 90% of the battle is sitting down and doing the thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like then once you're in it, you're like, oh, this actually isn't that bad. And once you release the pressure, like you said, like you genuinely can't do it wrong and no one's going to see. There's so much freedom in that. And you get to know yourself better.
Yes.
And what you're thinking about all the time. I'm like, I'm writing about this again.
Right. It's like because you have to do it every day, the same shit keeps coming up.
I'm like, get over it,
so
bro.
You're like, okay, I guess this is a thing that I need to deal with.
I guess.
I guess.
It's like therapizing yourself, I think, in a lot of ways.
And it's like, there's a ceiling on how much of that you can do. Of like, I think I'm very pro therapy. And I wish that I had gone to therapy earlier. Probably would have been great to do this in tandem with therapy, but there was a couple years in between. But yeah, it really helps you to kind of get to know yourself better. What were some things about yourself that you learned through reading? And I say doing this book because like it's a book that has a lot of homework.
It's like a workbook.
It's a workbook. So through this process, what were some things you learned about yourself?
Well, I got super reflective on how much I seek validation. I mean, I'm an actor. So like, duh.
That's
But also
part of the territory. Yeah.
a lot of the things I was writing about was me worrying about what other people were thinking about things I was doing. And then just being super hypercritical on myself of like, am I doing enough? Am I being enough? That was one thing. My self-talk was quite negative. And I think I was projecting that onto other people. I'm like, they must also think that.
Interesting. Yeah.
So it taught me to be a little kinder to myself. And also another huge thing was ways I distract myself. I'm like going out a lot.
Yeah.
I actually had been smoking at this time. I have had a crazy battle with nicotine. She's quit.
Cigarettes.
She's come back. Yeah, no, not weed. If I smoke weed,
yeah.
I turn into an unfun alien. It's like not a good time for anyone.
Same.
You know what I mean? I'm just like,
Yeah.
I feel like through that, I was reflecting on how I was spending my time.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, okay. And when you have to get up and do something every day, like writing, if you're hungover, it feels different than if you're not.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. By reflecting on how I was feeling every day, I started thinking, well, why do you feel like this? Why are you so drained? Why are you so tired? Why are you so anxious? It's like, well, maybe, lady, because you just bought a pack of cigarettes, you smoked one, threw it out, went back out, bought another one, or went back into the trash and got the pack again.
Oh, man.
So like, it just kind of makes you're more aligned with yourself. You're looking at your life more, I think. And so, yeah, it did help me quit because it kind of built respect within myself to be like, it made me take my dreams more seriously, which then made me want to clear out a path from things that were holding me back.
Oh, wow.
And that's not to say that I'm like, I don't party or drink or anything anymore, but it made me reevaluate my relationship with all of those things. I'm not a perfect person, contrary to what everyone says.
Look, the rumors are swirling, but
alas.
What were some of the artist dates that you went on during this book?
I did a bad job with the artist dates. I
honestly say.
I did a bad job, but then anyone I'd talk to while I was doing the artist way, it was like, you got to make sure you do those artist dates. So I was like, okay, all right, I get it. Yeah. I'm going. And so one of my favorites was I took myself and my dog to Mulholland Drive Outlook.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's make this a main character movie moment. I also love David Lynch, rest in peace.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So it's just like everything about it was cool. And it's just like the idea of going outside and sitting in peace and looking at the vista. That's valuable use of your time, even though you feel like you have to be productive all the time.
Absolutely.
Painting, another artist date I loved.
Yeah.
Really made some weird stuff.
Okay.
Really made some violently angry.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And then also cool stuff.
Wow.
And I even hung one of them up in my apartment.
Oh, wow.
Which is an interesting choice. Yeah. Because then when people come in, I'm like, are they going to mention it or are they?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Is it abstract? Is it?
No, it's a woman with a kaleidoscope face.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah,
I don't know who it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Who could it be?
I don't know. Some complicated lady. Maybe.
Yeah. The artist dates, like I'm trying to remember the ones that I went on. I remember going to museums.
That's cool of you.
I love museums, but it's funny. I've had the Mulholland Drive moments. So for those who aren't familiar with LA geography, like there's this one road that kind of goes through. It's the very top of the ridge of like the Hollywood Hills, and so the Hollywood sign's kind of like below it. I might be, maybe. I don't
sounds right.
It sounds right.
Yeah.
Spiritually, it's right. Anyway, it's this really windy road that like has these really breathtaking views at different points. And I remember when I moved back to LA after being gone for a year and having done the artist way or whatever, I remember because I drove back from Virginia, and when I got here, I like made a point of driving up onto Mulholland, parking at one of the lookouts, and like looking over and just kind of being like, all right. I'm back, baby. And I was like, I told myself like, all right, I'm going to do the work.
Yes.
And so did you have a moment, like what went through your head when you had your Mulholland Drive moment?
Similar to you. I was like, I went up there and I screamed, I run this town. No, I didn't do that. Okay. That would be awesome.
Wow. I was about to say like, that's amazing. Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. I get arrested.
Yeah.
No, I honestly, same to you. It was just like, I also went a little late at night, and I'm not gonna lie, Lucille O'Neal, my dog, her name is Lucille. Anyway, she was whining a lot. Oh, okay. She didn't like, because it was getting dark. She's afraid of the dark.
Oh, yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah. There's coyotes out there too.
Yes. And she's 12 pounds. But it was a really nice moment nonetheless. I was like, yeah, look at the moon, look at the stars. You're allowed to do that, and it feels good. And you're in LA. So many people would love to be in LA right now. Yeah. Even on your worst day, you're really lucky. Fortunate to be here.
Yeah.
So similar to you. We both in different times.
At different times, yeah.
It did that. That's interesting though, the artist way, like we both different. That's cool. Yeah.
What's really great and honestly spooky about this book is how many overlapping stories you'll hear. Like if I'm curious, like if you've had an experience with this book, let us know in the comments, obviously. But like, even if you haven't, if you know anyone who has read and kind of worked through this book, if you talk to them about it, they're probably gonna like say things similar to what we're saying.
Yeah.
Like, and it's crazy too, because like, you know, like I've read other self-help books, and especially kind of at that time, I was very kind of hustle culture, unlike now. But you know, none of them really stuck, except this is one. And I think that like, I think this is a book that everyone should read, because I think that everyone is an artist. And like, that's a very, you know, kind of whatever, you know, statement. But like, I do think it's true. I think that everyone has a self that they want to express, you know, and I think art is just that expression of it. Absolutely. And so like, I think it's a real, it's a damn shame that, you know, our society, because it puts a dollar value on everything that we do, that basically just says like, these people are capital A artists and they get to do this and everyone else doesn't get to. And it's like, no, everyone gets to make art. Yeah. Everyone should get to make art. And it's obviously not all going to look the same. And it's not all going to be as, you know, commercially remunerative, but like, it's, you know, everyone has something that they want to say. And I think this book helps you like get out of your own way and say it.
100%. There's like, I mean, that's a beautiful way to put that, because I actually do agree with you. I think I think art is genuinely just trying to express your perspective and your experience in life. Yeah. When you boil it down, it's like everyone's got a perspective. Yeah. Everyone is having a human experience. So like whatever that medium is that you feel best to express it. Yeah. Yeah, great. Even if it's just doing the morning pages, that's art. Just doing the morning pages. No one has to see it. That's the other thing. You know, I have a quick question. Of course. Did you play music while you were doing the morning pages?
I don't think so. I don't think I did.
Raw dog.
I think I raw dogged it. Yeah. Nice. And look, I haven't done the morning pages in a long time, and this conversation is making me feel like I should. But it sounds like perhaps you did listen to something. What were you listening to? This is Anya.
How did you? Fucking
wait, really?
No, I listened to Enya a lot. Oh my God. Yes, God. That's hilarious that you thought that was a joke. That genuinely was like probably one of the top.
That's incredible.
It maybe, again, romanticize your life. Give yourself the main character. I'm like, I'm a fairy in the woods writing to myself. Also, Gregorian chants occasionally.
Wow, okay, deep cuts.
Sometimes I really wanted to feel things hard. Okay. And I find some of those high notes will really bring a tear to your eye.
Did you grow up Catholic?
Nope.
No? Okay.
No excuse for it.
No excuse. I was going to say.
Just weird.
You're just, okay, you're just weird. Okay.
And Gregorian chant. And then sometimes classical music and synthwave music.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
But mostly Anya and Gregorian.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, honestly, I could do I want to do a whole episode on this book. Before we move on, any final thoughts or final recommendations regarding The Artist's Way?
I'd say, if you've ever been curious about it, just do it. Yeah. And you don't have to do it perfectly. Yeah. I sometimes would miss a morning. Sometimes I did. I mostly stuck to the 3 pages, but I'd say if you have any inclination, whether or not you think you're an artist, do it.
Do it.
What do you have to lose? You know, 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, I co-sign that.
And get a small notebook if you don't want to write a lot. Besides the notebook, my mom was so sweet. She was like, "Oh, I'm so excited you're doing this." Got me a book that was like a foot and a half.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's a legal pad.
Yes, it was a legal pad.
Wow, that's intense.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think I did the composition book, you know, the black and white marbled one.
Yes.
They were like 50s. Yeah. It was, man. I gotta find those.
Every single person that's done it is like, it changed my life. So like, why not try it?
Why not? We can't all be wrong.
No.
You know? Now's the time.
Look how good we turned out.
Look, we exactly. Well, what is the next book that you brought?
Okay. So we talked about existential dread earlier, and I'm realizing there's a lot of that in these next 2. Okay. Maybe all 3. Let's talk about the Poisonwood Bible.
Let's talk about it. Okay. The Poisonwood Bible
Barbara Kingsolver.
Yes.
Did I say her name? Let's say that again. Yeah. The Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver.
What's this book about?
Okay. So this book specifically, I read when I think I was about 23 or 24. And it's about a missionary family, like this evangelical Baptist missionary that takes his wife and 4 children to the Congo.
Oh, wow.
Which was, Belgian colonialized Congo. And it traces their life over 4 decades and how they acclimate or don't acclimate to the culture. His whole mission literally is to spread the word of Jesus and save literally his whole thing is like, I'm going to save African people with Jesus. And it's the themes in it are just really interesting. And you get all these, it's told from the perspective of the mother and mostly the 4 daughters. So they're all very different. They all have very different perspectives of life there. And it just follows their journey over 4 decades. And one thing I wanted to say too is all 3 of these books, I'm realizing looking at this, impacted me at very specific times in my life. And the themes in the books kind of reflect those times in my life. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's one of the things that I love getting into on this show is like where people are at when they read a book. Because I think that timing is everything when it comes to whether you enjoy or resonate with a book. So why did this book resonate with you at that time in your life?
So my mom loves Barbara Kingsolver. And she put a lot of her books in front of me when I was growing up. And at this time that I was reading a specific book, I was traveling to Uganda. And I was there for 3 weeks with an ex-boyfriend at the time. And his sister was working for a nonprofit out there. So the time that I read this just made me totally think about the privilege of being a person who's able, to travel to another country. Why? It made me think more about like, why are you going? Are you just going to take pictures to share it?
Right.
Are you going to contribute anything to this? Are you going to respect the culture? Because this book talks so much about white people trying to control other cultures. And, and anyway, so it just kind of made me reflect a lot on the privilege of traveling and why we do it. What's the right way to do it? Is there a right way to, you know what I mean? Just kind of thinking about that in a larger way, I guess. So, and I had been traveling a lot. Like I had done a ton of travel in my 20s. And so it just made me reflect on why.
What was your trip to Uganda like?
It was incredible. It was one of the largest culture shock moments for me. And I think that's why this book, reading at the same time, was so interesting because all of the different daughters that you get, there's like Rachel, who's the teen, she's like 15 or something. She's a terrible attitude. She's kind of like a materialistic brat a little bit. She's obsessed with vanity. She kind of represents consumerism.
Okay.
And then there's twins, Ada and Leah. Leah's like the pick-me daughter that like wants her dad to love her, and she just unquestioningly believes everything he says. And then Ada has, I'm going to mess up what it's called, hema something. Half of her body can't really move. But she's really smart. She thinks backwards and forwards. She's like a savant. She's really good with math.
Okay.
Anyway, and so they're twins. And then Ruth Ann is like the youngest one, and she represents innocence. So you're getting to see the culture shock through these different perspectives, and also the mother, Orlando's perspective. And so I was kind of finding my perspective across them while I was in Uganda, because I was like, okay, this is completely different from everything I know. Everything grows here. It was green and beautiful. The sense of community was like unlike anything I had ever seen. And it was like, I lived in New York City. So I didn't have that sense of community in the same way where everybody knows each other. Everybody's taking care of each other. Like I just didn't have that. It was like me and the person I lived with and the people I saw at work. So I think all of it just kind of, I don't know, just give me a different lens to look at it. But then I also had to be honest with myself of like, you're visiting. Like, yeah, you can appreciate and enjoy this. You also don't live here. And like, of course I can be like, it was gorgeous. It was beautiful. But at the same time, life is totally different and really hard in a very different way. Yeah. And the book also kind of talks about that. Like, okay, spoiler alert.
Yep.
The innocence, Ruth May. I think I said Ruth Ann, and that's a lie. Her name is Ruth May. Whoops. She's the one who acclimates the best because she's innocent. She hasn't been as conditioned in the way of life in the U.S. And so she's like playing with other kids in the village, and she's like beloved. And of course, she's the one who falls into danger, let's just say. So it's sort of like, I don't know. It's just really interesting. It's like the Baptist missionary, the father, Nathan Price, is so adamant about not integrating with culture at all.
Interesting.
And so it's like, to me, what I think is really cool is the book talks about how unity and how life is just one big organism. And if we could learn from each other and not just be like, oh, that's crazy and different. Oh my God, it's so different from the way, and then go right back to your life and do things exact same way.
Yeah.
It's like, if you can kind of learn and grow and be curious and not try to change things. It's just, it's really all good stuff to think about. I know this is like super nebulous and kind of like vague, but
no.
I don't know. It just, it made me think of like, what am I contributing? What am I learning? What am I doing? Should I even be here? And I think yes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know, just interesting reflection on travel in general for me.
Yeah. How have your views on travel changed over the years? Like, where did it start and where's it at now?
Well, that's a really good question. Honestly, I don't travel internationally as much as I used to. And it's not because I don't want to, but I did it so much, and I think it made me a better, more understanding person because I was able to look outside of my own life and what I do every day and just believe blindly, this is how things are. Anything other than this is weird or different, or, like you can't imagine any other way of life.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think I would be the same if I hadn't taken the time to step outside of my comfort zone and step outside of my bubble, but also to learn respect and be like, I'm a visitor here and I'm lucky that I get to be here in the first place. So I don't travel as much anymore, but that's mainly because I'm paying this rent in LA and I'm like, well, are you using it?
Yeah.
Here in LA?
Yeah.
That's the honest reason why I don't travel as much anymore. I'm like, okay, I traveled a lot. And I think I'm going to now use this rent here right now.
It's time for nesting.
It's time to nest a little bit and lock in, lady. You know what I mean? Now, like, I went to Ireland with my mom and we did a 2-week road trip. And I'm like, okay.
Cool.
Because also as you get older, your priorities shift. You're like, people in my life are getting older. And like with the free time I have, I want to spend it with them. Yeah. And so now I'm like, oh, well, we can travel together. Because she didn't do a lot of traveling.
Okay, yeah.
So my last name is O'Neal. My name is Merle Shane O'Neal. So you're not
Irish, are you?
No. I was just going for research.
Yeah.
So yeah, but anyway, it was cool. And we learned a bit about like some of our ancestry. And also it was just a mom and daughter. What the heck was that? Mom and daughter.
It wasn't Irish, I'll tell you that.
Wasn't Irish. Which ancestor? It was a mom and daughter cute trip. And we drove the whole way. I drove stick shift on the other side of the road on narrow. I did know how to do that beforehand. I didn't just wing it, by the way. Okay. Left-handed though, because you're on the other side of the road.
Holy shit.
On the other side of everything's
everything's backwards.
And it's one lane, and you're whipping around, and there's giant tour buses. It was crazy. My mom was like gripping the inside of the console most of the time. But
wow, congrats!
It was a wonderful trip.
That stresses me out hearing about that. Yeah.
Also with travel, are you someone who like, you want to just wander? Because I'm not much of like I must see this before. I'm not like a bucket list person. I'm more of like, I just kind of want to walk around and see some of the sites, but like explore. Yeah.
I mean, I think in general, I'm not a huge itinerary person. Like a lot of things in my life are just more of the like, I'll just fucking wing it kind of mentality, which has its pros and its cons, as I've been made aware. But I think for like, if I'm going to a new city, I want to see the, whatever the postcard thing is, just to have seen it. But I like to get that done early and get that out of the way. Because it's usually, I don't like crowds.
Fair.
And even if something is amazing, if I have to stand in line a long time for it and just be like, shoulder to shoulder, like I'm not going to enjoy the experience. So that's kind of where I'm at. What about you?
Exact same.
Okay.
I'm like, to the point where I'm like, did I just come here to take a less good picture than is on this postcard? Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, did you enjoy it really at all? There was like the cliffs of Moher. I'm like, in Ireland, I was like, yes, I'll go.
Yeah.
But the driving was the best part. Like not the particular spots. They were beautiful, but it was the moment with the person. And I think in that case, that's travel where it's like, I don't want to be a tourist that shows up and I'm in the way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to like contribute to, it's to contribute to tourism in that sense to like, bolster economy. But at the same time, are you showing up and expecting everyone to speak English and you're going to make it everybody's problem?
Yeah.
That's like, I just think people could be more conscious of like their role in visiting somewhere. You don't just deserve to just show up and make it everyone's issue.
It's so, I mean, especially these days, it's really embarrassing to be an American, full stop, but especially an American like abroad.
Yeah.
And there's just like, it's so, when you're abroad and then you see other Americans and you realize like, no matter how courteous I am and how respectful I am, I'm getting lumped in with the person who's, like loudly 5 decibels too loud, like screaming, asking where the McDonald's is.
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
you're just like, God damn it.
I know.
Yeah. But anyway, okay, so back to the book.
Oh, right. Right. That's right.
Right. Yeah. What? Were there any other elements to it that you
The
know?
number one thing is there's like this belief that they talk about. I think it's called Muntu, which is just like all life connects. And I think if you can approach any kind of travel, just in general, you don't have to be traveling far.
Yeah.
But just being curious instead of being judgmental and instead of trying to change things, to try to like become part of them. And what can you learn from any given situation is just a great outlook to have in general. I think the book highlights that a lot.
Yeah.
And like this family has no idea how to survive there. They show up. They're actually the tourist I was just talking about, which is like, I'm here.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Right.
You're welcome. Roll out the
right.
red carpet. I'm here, and now life is good. And it's like, you guys don't know how to grow a garden. Their garden dies. Like he tries to hold a sermon, and like nobody can go because there's crocodile infested waters around there, and people will be killed. Yeah. So it's like you just have no idea how to exist there. Yeah. And I think it just kind of instills like a level of gratitude that I think is important in general. But yes, we are like, I don't know, in a spiritual way, it's all one big old organism,
It's all,
right?
Yeah.
Trying to fight nature is never going to work.
You know what? The odds favor the house.
Yeah,
and
100%.
Yeah, this sounds like a book that would definitely be up my
I think
alley
you'd love it.
for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
Now I know the third and final book you brought is one that I read years ago and has really stuck with me, and that is
Slaughterhouse-five.
Slaughterhouse-five.
Kurt Vonnegut.
Yep.
I love him.
First of all, I don't know if this would be on my top 3.
Okay.
But it's definitely like probably top 10.
Oh, let's go. We're absolutely aligned.
So your batting average is up there.
I'm climbing even higher. I'm outdoing myself.
Yeah. I love this book, and we can get into that. But why do you love this book?
At the time that I read this book, I was in college. I was taking a class about the show Lost.
Oh, wow.
Lots to unpack
Where
there.
did you go to college?
I just made it up.
Yeah.
It was in my backyard.
Yeah.
No. I went to Hofstra University on Long Island.
Yeah.
Great. And yeah, I was in the television and production and business. Okay. Television production and business was like my major.
I see. Okay.
And there happened to be a class about Lost.
That's amazing.
One of the assignments was to look at all of the books that are mentioned, referenced in Lost, and you were assigned one to read. Oh,
cool. Okay.
So the one, I don't remember if we picked it off a list or if we were assigned it, to be honest, but I had always wanted to read Kurt Vonnegut and I hadn't yet.
Okay.
So, and 5's my favorite number. So I kind of took it as a sign.
Okay.
I have a little 5 right here.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's a tangent. We don't need to go down. But anyway, I read that book and I had experienced a lot of grief at that period in my life. I was going through some serious loss, and it kind of felt like the book found me at the right time because it's so much about how do you deal with life after terrible things happen. And it hit me at the perfect time. It's also a very short book.
It is, yeah.
And so I reread it a couple times. But the premise is it's like a semi-autobiographical. That was tough. We made it though.
You got it.
Thanks. It's kind of semi-autobiographical. Why did I make myself do it again? For Kurt Vonnegut of his time in the war. Yeah. Because it's about like the Battle of the Bulge and the firebombing in Dresden, Germany. And anyway, he's a prisoner of war in Dresden and he's held in this Slaughterhouse-five. But I think that it's about PTSD as well and about how do you deal with horrible trauma? Billy Pilgrim becomes unstuck in time. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And then he believes he's abducted by aliens, the Tralfamadorians, naturally. And they're fatalists, and they're like, nothing matters. Yeah. So you see all these, you're jumping around on the timeline, all over the place, these terrible things that are happening in war and back in his present day life. And the Tralfamadorian saying was, and so it goes, right?
So it goes.
So anytime someone died, there was a horribly graphic spoiler, not a big one though. There was a horribly graphic description of horses that were like really struggling and like malnourished in their hooves. And then one of them dies and the Tralfamadorians are like, yeah, well, so it goes. That's somebody's killed for stealing a teapot. So it goes. So for me, I was like, yeah, some people have died in my life. And I guess that is what it is. It's a lot about, is free will real? Is fate real? Is it all written in advance? I mean, there's so many themes in this tiny book.
Yeah.
That in existentialism. So I don't even remember what the question was, but I can't.
I don't. So it goes.
So it goes. Yeah.
I read this book. I think it was the year after I graduated college, and I think it was in Barnes and Noble, and I was like, "Oh, Vonnegut's. That's someone who smart people read. I'd like to be a smart person. I'm going to read that." And the scene that stuck with me the most was when. Yeah, it's after he's kind of become unstuck in time, and so now time will move forwards and backwards sometimes. And so there's like this image of him like watching the bombs like go back up into the plane, and I just like, I can't even really articulate like why that image like really just stuck with me. But just the idea of like undoing all the damage that like war has done, certainly relevant right now. But yeah, the other thing that I remember that like stuck with me the most too was like how these aliens, how do you say it? Tralfamadorians. Yes. The Tralfamadorians see in the fourth dimension. Yeah. And so they can see when they look at a person, it's like almost like a snake. It's this like thing that goes through time. I think I actually ended up talking about this on a previous episode of like how much that image has like stuck with me of like, we're talking about travel. It's just like, think of all of the kind of strands of yourself that have like extended over oceans, and it becomes this thing of like, oh, I am this being that like has spread over the universe, and it's like intersected with other people, and we're all kind of spread over this universe. And it goes back to what you're saying of just like, it's all one thing.
Yeah.
And I just think that this book, in few words, he's able to kind of conjure that and make you think about that. So
both of those books, the themes, these two, the Poisonwood Bible and Slaughterhouse-five, I noticed, I'm like, they actually have a lot of similarities in some ways about that oneness of like, it's all one big experience. And like, but like, I'm curious for you too, did it make you think like, actually, now I kind of want to ask you, do you believe in fate, or do you think everything is written in advance, free will? What do you think?
Yeah.
Just a light question.
Where I'm at on it is that I don't know. It feels like we have free will, so I think it makes sense to act as if we do.
I love that.
I don't know if we do or not. I think we probably maybe don't, but it sure feels like we do. So why not act like it?
I love that so much. I really love that.
Oh, thank you. How do you see it?
I'm about to steal that.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Same.
Yeah, no, that's actually exactly what I was going to say. I was just pretending to be surprised. Here's what I really think. I really think I can only understand time to a certain extent. So I don't know if I can fully grasp the concept of everything being pre-written versus my individual free will, which is another way of saying kind of what you said. But when people are like, time is a flat line.
Sure.
I don't know what they're talking about. Like, I'd love to pretend, no matter how many Vonnegut books I read, I can't figure out what they mean. Yeah. But I really don't understand. I'm like, I know what you're saying, but the conceptualization of it is very tricky for me. But there is a beautiful thing that kind of hints towards this in the book that I'm going to paraphrase, which is like, nobody ever really dies because the moments that they were alive that you remember with them were real and they didn't go away. But the way that we understand time makes it feel like it's the past, but there isn't a past. So it's like, I can't fully conceptualize that. I don't know if that's just a me problem or if that's a human being problem or if I just can't do the math. But like, it's comforting.
Yeah, no, I definitely take comfort in it, in that like, there's a book that I really want to read, Jerusalem by Alan Moore.
Okay.
Who he was the writer of Watchmen and V for Vendetta, which were very formative texts for me. But he wrote a novel, no pictures, called Jerusalem that like kind of talks about some of these themes and about time and all that stuff. And so anyway, I have not read that book. It is a doorstop, unlike Slaughterhouse-five. But I know that I read like an interview with him talking about how one way to kind of look at time is like looking at it like a book. Like this whole book that I'm holding for our audio listeners, the wrapped in brown paper book that I'm going to give Merle very soon, the whole story is contained in this thing.
Yeah.
But I can only experience it one line at a time as I'm reading.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that the whole thing isn't already there and just kind of exists.
Oh my God, you're gonna make me cry.
So,
I like that.
And I don't know, just like that, like, yeah, whatever is going to happen has probably already happened and will continue to happen. And like, our lives are already this one thing that kind of it just exists. It doesn't have a beginning. It doesn't have an end. It just exists. But we can only experience them second to second, because we can't see in that fourth dimension. And maybe, who knows, maybe someday there will be technology that allows us to.
Right.
And then we'll get bored with it, just like we've gotten bored with like microscopes and, indoor plumbing and any of the other like mind-blowing, I'm always fascinated by the human capacity for boredom. Just like whatever incredible thing that we like discover or create, we just like, it just recedes into the background. Anyway.
The hedonistic something. There's a word, there's a term for it.
Hedonic treadmill.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
The hedonistic. Close enough.
So it goes. So it goes.
There's actually one part of this book I wanted to see if you remember that I really liked, where he's like asking the Tralfamadorians, why me? Like, why did you abduct me and keep me in this zoo? Because he believes he's in a zoo. And he's being watched. Mm-hmm. Which I think is, again, I think it's just like symbolic of like his experience with PTSD out in the world. He's like, and that's just how he feels. He feels isolated, disconnected. But they're like, what do you mean, why you? Why me? Why us? Why now? Like, they compare it to like a mosquito stuck in sap.
Oh, yeah. Trapped in the amber of the moment.
Trapped in the amber of the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, you really did read that book, didn't you?
I did read that book. It also helps that my algorithm surfaces that quote fairly often.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so you really get time, don't you?
I'm a time man.
You're like, I'm time traveling right now.
In a way we are.
We already did this. I did it badly the first time. We've gone back now.
Editing kind of feels like time traveling sometimes.
Yeah, you are.
But
I love that. I was like, that's cool. Because sometimes there is so much pressure on like, why me? Why now? Am I making the right? Do you ever get like decision paralysis? I feel like this book does such a good job of being like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it also really does matter. It's whatever you want. Mm-hmm. It's whatever you want to be. And for me, dealing with losing people, you try to find reason in it at first. And I think this book genuinely made me think, well, it's not because you did anything wrong. It's not because they did anything wrong. It just is what happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that can be really hard to grasp, but I thought he did a really beautiful job.
Yeah, I love another one of his quotes that gets surfaced in my algorithm a lot is, have you heard him talking about buying an envelope?
No.
So I don't know what the provenance of this anecdote comes from, but he talks about like the process of like sending a letter and how he's like, I'm going to choose to go to the store to buy an envelope. And my wife will be like, well, why don't you just order them? You can buy them in bulk and have them delivered and you don't have to go to the store. But he's like, but you see, when I go to the store, I bump into someone and I say, oh, how's the weather? And I see a dog and I pet the dog and I like see the sunlight. And it's basically just like, the quote usually surfaces in like, people talking about like why the machines are bad, which is probably why it's getting served to me. But yeah, I just, the way I like that way of looking at the world of just like intentionally putting some friction into your life, because the friction is where that's where the good stuff in life comes from, And I just think that there's so many forces in our world right now. And I've talked about this on the podcast before, so apologies for those who are hearing it for the 17,000th time. But I think that, finding friction in your life, there's just so many forces in our world right now that are trying to remove all the friction, and that's just like that just removes everything that's interesting about life.
Yes,
and it's just trying to you just want to sit in your room and have all like things brought to you. Like how boring. Convenience
has been weaponized. That's it.
Yeah.
It has been weaponized to the point where it's like, oh, here's a problem that we've decided is a problem for you. That's not really a problem.
Right.
So we can sell you this. Like you just said, okay, Amazon, now you don't have to walk to the store. Now you don't know your neighbors. Now you live in a phone where everything is being, you're encouraged to be divided from your neighbors. It's, it's all part of it.
Yeah. So
go to the post office.
So go to the damn post office. Any final thoughts on Kurt?
Final Kurt thoughts. I mean, I just think it's an anti-war novel that is cool for anyone to read right now.
Yes.
In this current climate. And it's a really short read.
It's an easy,
You could do it in a weekend.
You can knock it out. I remember my copy of it is like one of those ones that would like fit in your pocket.
Yeah.
Like a little pocket size book.
And then you can say you read a Vonnegut.
And you can say you read a Vonnegut because that's, I'm told that's what the smart people like.
Yeah, I came on here to brag about it. I've read like 1.5.
Yeah.
I didn't need to say that.
Yeah. But a book that will not fit in your pocket, unfortunately, is this book that I've gotten for you. And would you like to open it?
Yes.
Go for it.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Just embrace it.
Just embrace it.
Is it just like, this made me think of you? Or is it like, this is a random book I found?
It's not necessarily a random book I found. It's a book that I thought, I think she might enjoy this.
Okay.
So we'll see.
I'm excited.
You know, obviously won't find out until you've actually read it. But
nice wrapping job.
Oh, thank you. And there
I already like the color.
It's a great color.
Praise for the oh my god. Oh, okay. I thought that was part of the title.
Oh, that was the title.
The Disappointment. What are you trying to say?
So this is The Disappointment by Scott Broker, who has been on this show. So
cool.
And he's an LA author. And this book just came out. I was just at a reading of it the other night. And I really like this book. It one has to do with travel.
Okay.
It's about this couple going on kind of an ill-fated trip to Oregon. Okay. And it deals with grief.
Okay.
And it also has just like kind of a wacky cast of characters that is like kind of dips into a bit of the surreal.
Sounds like you nailed it.
And I was like, I don't know. I feel like Merle might be into this book. So anyway.
Thank you so much. Also, the cover art of this is so cool.
It's really cool. Yeah. It has like a nice, would you call it a mint green? What color green would you call it? Okay.
No, for sure. I'd call it a mint green.
Yeah.
And also the guy putting his head into the hole, I'm like, same.
Yeah.
We all feel like that right now.
Yeah.
This is really cool. Scott, good job. I don't know you, but this is already cool.
Scott's cool. Thanks, Scott.
Hey, thanks, Scott.
Shout out
to
Scott.
You.
Of course.
I'm really excited to read this. I'm going to read it.
Okay.
And then I'm going to tell you what I think.
Hell yeah.
And I'll tell you the truth.
Okay. Yeah. Don't hold back. But no, Merle, thank you for being here. And where can people find you? What do you have to plug?
Oh boy.
All that stuff.
Well, you can find me I make YouTube videos, Merle Shane O'Neal. I make cooking videos, some lifestyle videos. And I'm about to make a short film, which I will be posting on my Instagram.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to hear more about that short film, check out the Patreon extended version of this episode because we got into that in the cold open. But awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And to everyone watching and listening, thank you for watching and listening. And as always, keep reading.